Hey guys, Silverlord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Super 7 Disney Ultimate Sorcerer's Apprentice, Mickey Mouse, from Fantasia. Now before I get into it, here let us first take a look-see at both the front and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, Mickey Mouse does come with a plethora of accessories. And much like the video I did for Prince John the other day, check that out if you haven't already, we're going to be trying something a little bit different to make things as quick and painless as possible. And since I think it worked out pretty well for Prince John, we're going to be doing the same for Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey as well. So starting off, he comes with 5 sets of interchangeable hands, starting off with the open hands, or relaxed hands here. See, they are his trademark white glove with the stripes on the back. Pretty good stuff. And he comes with this pair of a different kind of relax. His thumb is bent inward with these. I guess you could call them style pose hands. Speaking of which, comes with 2 pointing finger hands, or finger guns as I like to call them. Pew 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 pew. And these have the hinge in and out, which I guess is fine, but a lot of the times you'll see these hands with the other type of hinge that I typically prefer with the grip hands. Yeah, he has the same old hinge in all the hands, but it is what it is. He comes with 10 of them, so if you can't find something you like, you got problems. Then last but certainly not least, he comes with a pair of fists so he can, well, punch Pete square in the kisser. So that's all the hands, but that's quite a lot if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Next up, Mickey Mouse comes with 3 interchangeable heads, the first of which has the hat leaning off to the right, his right, our left, and his mouth is closed, but he's still kind of smiling there. Looks like Mickey Mouse, right? Now I will say the one thing I wish you could do is maybe swap the hats, but I could see why you can't do that. The second head has a open smiley face and is curved off to his left, our right. But again, still looks like Mickey Mouse there. And the final head has the hat pointed forward, which I would have preferred to be on the head I was going to use, which is most likely going to be this one, being honest. But still cool. He looks a little bit more determined here. I like the expression on that. It's not every day we get a Mickey Mouse with some cheesed off looking eyes there. But he also seems to be smiling. I can't tell. But that is all for the interchangeable heads. And last but certainly not least, Mickey Mouse comes with a few other accessories like this axe, which I find it kind of funny that both him and Pinocchio come with axes. I guess the only other character that could have come with one is the Executioner from Robin Hood, right? But this will fit in the grip hand like so. You're going to stretch that hand out quite a bit doing that. There. But there you go. There it is in the grip hand there. And it also comes with 2 water buckets, which you can have him hold as well. Or, setting that to the side, you can give him to the anthropomorphic broomstick, which has no articulation, but doesn't really need it. That, and looking how skinny those arms are, that's probably for the best. But these just kind of balance in his hands there. They do have a tendency to fall out if you don't have them sitting just right. But there you go. There is the broomstick with water buckets. Kind of wish he just had like grip hands instead of just these kind of hook hands that don't really curve up enough to keep those from falling out, but it is what it is. Also would have been nice to get 2 of those, but if we do get the Sorcerer himself, I bet he'll come with 1 too, and probably even 2 more water buckets, because there's not a whole lot they could probably pack in with him. And then last, but certainly not least for the added accessories anyways, comes with this big old honkin' spell book, which makes me question the scale of this universe, because how big is this compared to the Sorcerer? I think it's like a bigger than average book, so that's very interesting. I'm not sure if I had this upside down or not, so there you go. But that is it, and considering the fact that Mickey is a particularly small figure, at least compared to the likes of Prince John and some of the other Super 7 Ultimates we're used to seeing, comes with quite a bit, and I think you get enough for your money. So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at the aesthetic and articulation. Taking a closer look at everyone's favorite rat here, and I don't care what any of you say, none of you 100% hate Disney. You might hate what they've become, but you can't hate what they were, because without that we wouldn't have jack shit as far as animation goes. So before all y'all go saying they're a corporate monster, they're all this and that, go back about 50 years from now, watch movies like Fantasia, Pinocchio, Robin Hood, all the classics, the Renaissance stuff included, and tell me that's crap. Because if you do, I'm sorry, but you're a heartless bastard and need to be put to death as soon as possible. So, with that being said, my very strong opinions about classic Disney aside, this is a pretty solid figure. It's not the best. I still think Prince John is my favorite from this first wave, but I like this figure. I think it's okay. That said, his drawers did want to slip off on mine. No, his belt. His belt came a little bit iffy out of package. I had to adjust it a little bit, but it seems to be okay right now. It didn't come untied, but it was starting to come undone a little bit, so I had to fix that. But other than that, he's fine. He's got nice soft goods, courtesy of C. Jessam. Once again, shout out to C. Jessam. He's got his wizard hat, which I wish he came with a head without the hat. He did appear like that in this short at one point, I believe in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. But he's got the hat. I wish we got one that was like straight up. That's typically how I imagine it, but it is nice to see it off to the side like that. Gives it some character. It's got a nice Mickey Mouse look. Like, if you think this is anyone else, I'm sorry, but you're stupid. Like, this is straight up Mickey Mouse. The likeness is spot on. Looks just like the character, right? And, yeah, not the most articulate thing in the world, and not the biggest figure. Like, look at my hand compared to this thing. He is, like, 4 inches tall to the top of his head. I'm not going to count the ears of the hat. But to the top of his head, he's like 4 inch, maybe. Maybe. Fit on the same shelf as my freaking Ben 10 figures, for crying out loud. So, you know, it is what it is. He is small, but this line seems to have its own scale going for whatever movie the figure is based on. Like, as far as Prince John and Mickey Mouse are concerned, I think they're in scale pretty well with each other. I think. Based off the scale of Robin Hood and, you know, the anthropomorphic animalistic characters in the Disney universe. So, with the exception of Wind in the Willows, that is. They all seem to be in scale with one another for the most part. I mean, Mickey is a giant rat compared to being a little mouse like he's normally depicted as. Or he's known as, I should say. And Pinocchio is going to be in scale with, I hope we get a Geppetto and the Blue Fairy and maybe that naughty coachman. But it seems like Pinocchio is going to be in scale with the human characters, whereas the animals are going to be more in scale with each other. So that makes any sense. That said, as far as Mickey's articulation goes, his head is on a ball joint. You can look all around. He's smiling. He's happy to see us. We're happy to see him. He's got a hinge in the shoulder there. Does move forward and back. We'll say this robe is a little constricting of the articulation. It's a little bit less baggy than Prince John's was. But it does move in and out. It does move forward and back. It does have a single joint at the elbow with a rotation. It does have swivel in the wrist with a hinge. No waist cut, even though he does have a very logical place for one, but I think they did that because of fragility, so I'll let that slide. That said, his tail is articulated on a little ball joint here. But that's pretty loose, so I don't have to worry about that breaking or anything. Hips are on your typical kind of T-joints here. They do move in and out a little bit. They do move forward and back a little bit. Are a little loose. His legs, in particular, are a little bit loose. So, you know, be mindful of that. But the only reason I can think of why they did that is so nothing got stuck. So I can tell you right now, I was nervous about breaking my Pinocchio because his hip was stuck. So I kind of don't mind the joints being a little bit loosey-goosey. That said, they are a little too loosey-goosey on this guy compared to Pinocchio. But it is what it is. He does have a hinge in the knee with a swivel there. He's got a hinge in the foot with a rocker, which this foot on mine was kind of stuck, but it does work fine now. That said, the ankle hinge again is kind of loose. I will say, I think the left leg is a little better than the right on mine. And ironically enough, even though he's got these big feet, he's got pig holes at the bottom of his feet. Look at that. Prince John did not. At least I didn't notice any. So, if anyone knows he does, let me know, but Mickey Mouse here has the peg holes. So, yeah, I just love this Disney line, man. I'm glad somebody grew a pair of balls and decided to do old honky Disney, just like I like it. Fantasia being one of the, I think, best animated movies period of all time. Watched that on ye old Disney Plus a couple weeks ago. It is so amazing. One of the best. Can't wait to see what they do with Chernabog, although I hope he's not like 3 feet tall. That'd be a bit much. I'd take a foot. He doesn't need to be in scale with all these guys. He just needs to be bigger. If he's bigger, I'll be alright with that. Kind of like Monstar and Mumra from the Silverhawks and Thundercats lines they've been doing. But they are going to be doing the hippo and the, is it alligator or crocodile? From Fantasia, so looking forward to those. Pre-ordered them both. I got all this line on pre-order, man. I can't not buy a single one of these. Kind of curious, again, how they're going to do Chernabog. Are they going to make him giant, or are they just going to make him bigger? Because honestly, I would take just a bigger one. I don't need a massive, freaking 3-foot Chernabog. That'd be a bit much. I don't have, what, $50,000 to drop on that right now, so, you know, take your time with that, Super7, just saying. But the thing is, if they did make him bigger, they can make all those ghosts that hung out with him, and there's one that looked like a ring wraith, one that looked like a skeleton warrior from, like, the cartoon Skeleton Warriors. It's like the cloaked ghosts, and the weird chick-looking ghosts, and the harpies with their exposed boobies. Okay, I'm going on a tangent, but I love Fantasia, man. I don't know what else to say. And again, it's okay to not be okay with modern Disney. It's alright to not like what they've become, because I sure as hell don't. I think they're going a little bit socio-political for my taste. But back then, they were doing stuff that nobody else was doing. And you gotta respect them for that. You gotta respect Walt for all the risks he took. You gotta respect all the animators for all the effort they put in. Because that's what old Disney was. It was effort. It wasn't pushing any opinions or anything on anybody. Yeah, there's some hidden shit if you look hard enough. I mean, I never noticed the stuff, but there are some hidden cameos and references and things like that to, you know, non-Disney related things. But at the end of the day, I love me some old honky Disney, and that's not going to change. I don't care. Unless Unless Disney brings all this stuff back and does it better, which so far they're not. I mean, have you seen the live-action reboots? Wretched. I don't think my opinion of that's going to change. So, you know what? I'm happy with that. And you guys like new Disney? That's okay too. I just don't. So, with that being said, this isn't a review of Disney as a company. It's a review of a figure that represents Disney, so I guess, you know, it's okay to talk about it a little bit, but I don't want to go on a tangent here. So we're going to move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey next to the only other figures we've gotten in the Super 7 Disney Ultimates line thus far, Pinocchio, and that naughty old King of England, Prince John from Robin Hood. And as I said before in my Prince John review, you can see the size he's got compared to these other little squirts here. These guys are clocking in more at that 3.75 4-inch mark, where Prince John is a 7-inch figure. So as far as the figure itself goes, Prince John is definitely giving you more bang for your buck. That said, Mickey Mouse and Pinocchio make up for that in their accessories. Next up, here he is alongside a couple other animated style figures, the Hasbro Marvel Legends PulseCon exclusive Venom from Spider-Man the Animated Series, and the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman the Animated Series Batman. And can you guys see Mickey Mouse and Batman teaming up to fight Pete and the Joker? I can, and it's absolutely hilarious. Just thought I'd throw that in there. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legions, Brother Mandibulus, Livid Spawn, who as usual towers over everyone. I mean, he is a mouse after all, right? And no, we are not going to think about what it'd be like if Mickey Mouse and Spawn teamed up to fight Pete and the Violator, because I can only think of so many messed up crossovers on this channel at one time, guys. Come on. So that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and even though this is not the most perfect rendition of Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey I think we could have, it's still pretty damn good. You get a ton of accessories, and the figure overall is not too shabby. A little loose in places, and the robe is a bit cumbersome to deal with, but aside from that, I had a lot of fun posing this guy up for this shot here. I mean, look at him. He's poised and ready to go. And so is that broom with the bucket. So, with that being said, if you want a Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, I think this is the best option right now. I think it's cool. I think it's good enough. I usually don't settle for good enough, but considering the fact that, you know, only other better Disney figures are Revel Techs, and those are like $100 a pop, and I don't think come with nearly as much interesting accessories, we'll say, as the Super 7s will or have come with, I think this is your best bet. If you want a Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, this is the one to get. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil. The world sucks enough as it is, especially when Disney's half the man they used to be. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. Would you take Sorcerer's Apprentice or whatever the hell they're putting out nowadays? I think you're going to choose the latter. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.